New World to me has been a very strange MMO for the past few years. It's a game that I always have a good time playing and revisiting, and there's a lot of things I like about it, such as the world, gathering, crafting, and to some extent the combat, but for whatever reason it's not a game that manages to keep me hooked for very long. Whenever people have asked me about New World in the past 2 years, my response is usually that I like the game and I'd be really sad if it got shut down, but I don't really play it much, and I don't know why. In the past couple of months, New World has actually seen a bit of a resurgence in player numbers, primarily due to the game being free to play on PlayStation Plus, as well as new seasonal content bringing players back to the game. One of the biggest concerns I've personally always had about investing more time into New World has been player population, but since going crossplay on both console and PC, the game seems to be in a way healthier spot nowadays compared to say August 2024, where it bottomed out at just 5,000 peak concurrent players. Nowadays it's more than double that on PC alone, and that's not even accounting for console players, which are likely to be just as many or more. Since the last time I covered New World, the game has shifted its content release cadence to a seasonal model, with new seasons releasing roughly every 3 months. The devs have experimented with season-specific servers in Season 7 and 8, with things like accelerated progression and a hardcore mode. However, this was shelved due to player feedback complaining that seasonal servers split the player base too much. Interestingly, New World also no longer refers to itself as an MMORPG nowadays in marketing material, despite clearly being one. Instead, the devs now describe it as an action RPG, which to me shows that they're really wanting to focus heavily on the single player experience, as well as fully committing to ARPG style seasons. Whilst making this video, New World dropped info on their newest upcoming season releasing on the 13th of October, and it actually sounds more like a full expansion than a typical season. So in this video I'll get you all up to speed with the state of New World in 2025, talk about the new content added to the game, give an overview of what's to come in Season 10, as well as dive back into the game myself with my first impressions of the new player experience, which is vastly different than the last time I played. But before we begin, help us out with a like to spread awareness that New World isn't dead yet, and support the content by listening to today's sponsor, Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty is a free-to-play cross-platform MMORPG that's bigger and better than ever, with an always changing environment, massive scale PvPvE battles, and the ability to transform into powerful creatures to fight across land, sea and air. This isn't the MMO you remember, it's better, and now's the perfect time to jump in thanks to the brand new Hyper Boost plus Gear soft reset. New Tier 3 gear and fast catch-up mechanics mean everyone, whether you're a veteran or first-time player, starts on an even playing field, and with new servers, the entire community begins fresh together. This update also brings the Orb weapon, a fast-paced magic weapon where you can strategically place up to 3 orbs on the battlefield to control enemies with precision. For PvP fans, the new battlegrounds provide endless gameplay loops to keep your character progressing. If PvE is more your style, dive into dimensional trials, time attack dungeons with customizable difficulty, and weekly leaderboards to test your skills. And for long-term progression, you can even unlock and customize your own prestigious home. So what are you waiting for? Download Throne and Liberty today using the link in the description, join the new Hyper Boost servers, and try out the new Orb weapon for yourself. So what's new with New World? Well, 2024 was a particularly negative year for the game in terms of player sentiment, as the devs were quietly working on New World Aeternum, which was the cross-platform relaunch. During that time, content was fairly infrequent and consisted mainly of new expeditions, artifacts, and seasonal events. Player numbers dropped to an all-time low in August 2024. However, in October 2024, New World Aeternum released and brought with it a full new player experience revamp, soul trials, which are solo boss challenges, a new raid, a revamp to the PvP influence race system, as well as crossplay enabled across PC, PS5 and Xbox. In January 2025, Season 7 dropped and brought with it new artifacts and upgrades to mutated expeditions, unifying mutations, adding matchmaking for M3, as well as better rewards. May 2025 saw Season 8 release, and along with it, a new Outpost Rush map was finally added to the game, as well as more new artifacts and weekly world bosses. Season 9 is the most recent season during the making of this video and released late July 2025. A Capture the Flag mode was added to the game and launched with 2 new maps right out of the gate. They added a new 3v3 arena map, new artifacts, PvP zone changes, the removal of seasonal worlds. There was also balancing changes and general gameplay polish. A lot of new players returned to the game for Season 9, and it's here that I started to notice player sentiment towards New World shift and become much more optimistic. This is where I started to feel the itch to return to the game myself, and a few hours into leveling up my new character, AGS announced Season 10, which is basically an expansion level content update, and them calling it a season is kinda underselling it, to be honest. New World Season 10 Nighthaven is a completely free update that brings with it the new zone of Nighthaven, a new 10-player raid, an increase to the game's level cap and gear score cap, as well as new stories, game modes, and a new outpost rush map, as well as progression systems. The new zone of Nighthaven seems to be going with the vampires and werewolves theme. Architecturally, it looks like something straight out of V Rising. Expect haunting woods shrouded in a thick fog, gothic buildings, ruins, and catacombs. The new story picks up after the events of the Elysian Wilds and has players head to Nighthaven to track down the divine artifact called the Tear of Gaia after it went missing. Nighthaven also brings a new game mode in the form of catacombs. These are procedurally generated dungeons where up to 3 players battle a wide variety of enemies and bosses, collecting cursed resources and currency, then racing to successfully exit and cleanse their treasures before the time runs out. It's said that the difficulty of these catacombs will be moderate at the start of the season, but the challenge and rewards is increased significantly each time a boss is defeated. To counter this, players will be able to acquire in-mode power-ups that enhance their stats and abilities. With each boss defeated, players must decide between pushing further into the catacombs for even greater rewards, or safely making their way to the exit before the time runs out. Failure to make a safe exit results in the loss of the vast majority of the treasure collected, but only one player needs to safely exit to avoid this. Sounds like some really interesting risk versus reward content. Aside from that, there's the new 10-player raid, the Isle of Night, featuring 3 new bosses, multiple new enemy types, light puzzles, and is said to be some of the hardest content in the game, and demands that players both gear up and coordinate to succeed. A new outpost rush map called The Tower will be added to the game and has players do battle in a gothic fortress atop a mountain peak with 3 layers of verticality to it, featuring underground passes, jump pads, and game-changing resources to control. Endgame progression in Season 10 will see a big overhaul, with set bonuses being added to the game for the first time. This gear will be earned from pinnacle content as well as PvP reward track, with some bonuses activating at 2 pieces, 3 pieces, or 4 pieces. It's intended that you're able to mix and match multiple gear set bonuses to create unique builds. Aside from that, the gear score cap is being increased to 800, the level cap is being raised from 65 to 70, umbral shards can be used to upgrade gear past 700, and perks that increase attributes are being removed from the game, with attributes coming from those perks being redistributed into the native attribute pool from leveling. So yeah, things are actually looking quite positive for New World right now. Next, let's jump into my experience returning to the game in 2025 and creating a new character to see how the new player experience has changed. New World in 2025. It's been a while since I've played the new player experience, so let's create a new character and see what's changed. Choose an archetype: the Soldier, Destroyer, Ranger, Musketeer, Occultist, Mystic, and Swordbearer. This isn't a game with classes. New World is a completely classless game. This archetype thing just gives you 2 starting weapons and helps kind of give you an idea of like a play style. My favorite weapon in the game is the Great Sword, so we're gonna go with Swordbearer. I always forget how many hairstyles this game has. I think that's the one. You get the name Muay Thai, that's kind of cool. I've always found the intro cinematic of New World to be really cool. Like the whole premise of the game as well. Sailing to some spooky unknown island. So here the game gives me a bit of a tutorial on the controls. It's a good way of doing it, I suppose. Slice them down and we get shipwrecked. They've definitely redone the new player experience since the last time I played. Now you can swim and you actually start off in the water. Back when New World first released, the game famously didn't have swimming. Got gear equipped already, huh? Don't know how I feel about that. I kind of liked starting on the beach with rags, to be honest. But I already look pretty cool right off the bat. Loot the chest. Okay, you start with an amulet nowadays. See a bit of the angry earth. And we get a beautiful view of Aeternum. Very nice. Even though New World released a few years ago at this point, even in 2025, I still think it's one of the best looking MMOs visually. Corrupted Captain Thorpe. As much as I do like New World's combat, I swear, like, sometimes you do get hit by things that you either dodge or feel like you shouldn't have gotten hit by. Captain Thorpe got beat by a fucking level 1 fresh off the boat, and I'll take that power for myself, thank you very much. This box contains the cleanest crystal meth that's just gone straight into my character's veins. By the power of meth, we resist. Oh, she's looking realistic, isn't she? She's like 60% scary, 40% hot. Dangerous ratios to have. And we awaken on the beach. Giga Chad. Aelstrom. What a name. I wish my name was Aelstrom in real life, but instead I got dumped with the fucking name Craig. Why call me that? You could have called me Aelstrom. Seems like the way they deliver dialogue is different compared to the last time I played. I wonder if all of these quests are going to be fully animated and voice acted. One thing I really don't like about this new player experience is the fact that you spawn on the beach with a full set of gear. Like, one of the charming things about washing up on a beach is that you're like shipwrecked, you're stranded, you're in rags. And it's always fun from a visual progression perspective, going from like rags to riches. I've spawned on the beach already looking like a hero. And also spawning in with your weapon rather than crafting your first weapon. I don't know how I feel about that. Wait, is the jumping animation different in New World? I think it is. Get some green boots. Is that the same? Yeah, it's like the same skin. So we're going to replace our grey gear with green gear, but it's going to basically look the same. All this little named NPC. Takes absolutely no time for you to get your first few abilities. In fact, I've already got them. Loot the armor chest. Grace O'Malley, Irish waifu. It seems like the new player experience is a lot more story driven than it used to be.
You have my thanks.
So since the game's gone cross-platform, you can look in the chat and see what platform people are chatting from. So this guy is playing on PlayStation. Still seeing other new players in the starting area. Seen quite a few already. And it's also worth mentioning I'm playing on the Australia servers, which is probably the least populated out of all of the New World servers. Yeah, I'm still seeing plenty of new players running around, even though we're well over a month and a half into the new season. So for a new season launch, it's probably even more active. And I'd also imagine the EU and NA servers are also much more populated. But even still, the chat is active. Plenty of people running around. Keep following the MSQ. Different type of animated cutscenes popped up. Miss Pooh Bum. Wow. Beautiful name. V2 Climber. Pale Heart. They're all engrossed in the cutscene. Want to buy slave. Must be Asian. In X content. Have a shit PC and have sexy cars. Brother, what? Side quest here.
Did you see my court? The wilds of Aeternum have never been safe.
Brother, what's that voice acting?
Never seen anything like this before today.
Bro thinks he's doing voiceover for a goblin.
How should I know?
Interesting that even the side quests are like animated and voice acted. I haven't seen any quests that aren't. There's a lot of PlayStation players in the chat. I'd actually say that there's an equal amount of PlayStation players as there are Steam players, just purely based on looking at the chat. And it makes sense because there's not really many MMOs that are well suited to console, but New World on controller actually feels really good to play. It's actually the perfect console MMO. So it doesn't surprise me to see so many PlayStation people jumping in. If I was a console player and I had to choose one console MMO to play, it would definitely be New World. So there are Xbox players. Yeah, there's a few, there's 2. They do exist. I guess there's just more PlayStation players because it's free to play on PlayStation Plus. I've never actually had the Windswood starting area before. Every time I've ever played this game, it's always spawned me at Monarch's Bluffs. Opulent Bestowment, some event thing? Oh, Look at this Giga Chad. He's wearing a bucket on his head. Really glad to see New World is still active, because if this game was to announce that it was shutting down, I would feel really sad. It'd be another one of those wild star situations. So I've heard that the way to progress in New World is to just spam the MSQ, and that will very quickly get you to level 65.
I've seen ghosts and fiends and horrors, met night and bold explorers.
They've actually put a lot of love into the cutscenes in this game. Go, what? What's going on here? I completely forgot about New World's proximity voice chat. Quite a few players outside the front of the town. Looks like they're dueling and whatnot. This game feels way more populated than I was expecting. I really love the early zones in New World. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. The trees, the atmosphere, the music, the vibrant colors. Even back at launch, I enjoyed New World's early game quite a lot. There's always been something about the world of New World that has always made me want to be a part of it. I think it's because like the gameplay feels quite grounded. It'd be cool if New World had a jump attack. It feels like it's kind of missing that. Like I should be able to jump and then like attack, but you can't. Tier 2 sickle, don't mind if I do. I feel like you get way more life skill mastery than you used to. I'm getting like 2 levels per tree chopped with the gathering. I'm sure it never used to be that fast. Probably part of the seasonal boost, to be fair. Got a little mini boss here. Need to break their posture. New World's early game so far feels completely different than it did a couple of years ago. In some ways it's good, but in other ways I feel like it's missing the sense of freedom. Like nowadays it just kind of feels like follow linear MSQ. You know when you've re-entered the town because someone's blasting music through the fucking mic. Oh, that's nice. You can just tick can afford and can use. I forgot how beautiful this game looks when the sun starts setting. Best thing about this game is just being out and about in the world. I love the density of the vegetation. It is just such an immersive world to just run around in. I wish Ashes of Creation's world gave me the same sense of scale and immersion that New World's world gives me. Everything is still fully cutscened, fully voice acted. Final Fantasy XIV players are going to love this. The lighting from the moon at nighttime in this game also looks really nice. Another thing to mention is, like, compared to back at launch, there is fast travel absolutely everywhere in this game now. And I remember a couple of years ago, it used to be really expensive to fast travel. It was something that people would complain about a lot. And you've also got mounts in the game now. By the way, you may be wondering, why am I wearing a hat today? Because in my 10 years of YouTube, I have never once worn a hat. And that's for one simple reason. I recently learned that wearing a hat doesn't actually make you bald. For years, I believed this myth that people who wear hats will go bald because, like, your hair won't get enough sunlight or something. But I asked AI if that was true, and it's actually not true. That's complete bullshit. So you can actually wear a hat without going bald. I think it was my dad who told me that when I was younger. Thanks for the misinformation, Dad. I'm not sure if wearing a hat suits me or not. You can let me know in the comments below. Maybe it looks ridiculous. Parents, #1 misinformation spreaders. I love the sound effects of the mining in this game. The way you can hear it kind of pinging in the distance. Potentially best in genre when it comes to the sound design of gathering. Yeah, these parkour quests feel way better now that they changed the animation of the jumping. Something else they could do to make the combat feel infinitely better is allow you to dodge animation cancel at any point during any attack animation. Like with your standard left click attack, you can only animation cancel right at the start, but you can't at the end. So yeah, at the end you can't do that. You can only do it right at the beginning of the animation, but not halfway through or towards the second half. Same with like the heavy attack. You kind of locked in. Yeah, I think that would instantly make the combat feel better. Just let everything be dodge animation cancelable at any point. Light chest piece. Oh, nice. Now we're finally medium rolling. Pitchfork PX. There it is. AGS has really been cooking with this MSQ. If you're like me and haven't gone through the New World leveling experience since like launch, might be worth just revisiting the game and going through it again because it's completely different. It's like a completely different game, especially if you're a fan of story-driven MMOs, if you're like a fan of Final Fantasy XIV, and it seems like you can indeed just follow the MSQ to max level. You don't need to do anything else, you can just purely enjoy the story if you want. For me personally, I'm not a huge fan of hyperlinear story-driven MSQs, but I know I'm in the minority with that. I like my leveling to be a little bit more sandboxy, but I think most MMO players do like the linear story-driven MSQ approach. If that wasn't the case, WoW and Final Fantasy XIV wouldn't be the most popular games. Oh, what's this? Soul Trials, instant solo challenges. This is new, I've never seen one of these before. She's just gonna stand there and let me attack her, is she? Big damage. Release energy. Oh. Okay. My guess for them adding these solo trials is that they probably replaced dungeons, which used to be part of the MSQ, back at the launch of the game. I bet when the game's population dropped really low, players just simply couldn't progress the MSQ, so they probably replaced the MSQ dungeons with these solo trials. That would make sense to me. Entering the town of Everfull, moon glistening in the night. Town project board. Back at launch, this would be how everyone would level up. Finally, we can start the horse quest. Horse Lord's Signet. Search for a horse to bond with. I actually think the way you get your horse is pretty cool. Like, you go in the cave, you get the special oats, you leave the cave, then there's a big light beam shining down on the horse that you're gonna tame. It's actually really well done. That horse certainly looks magnificent. Feed oats. And there it is. And we've got the mount. Oh, I summoned a wolf. I guess that's because on my other character, I have the wolf skin or something. Holy, they've added a lot more mounts. Corrupted Mauler, that looks cool. A little bit dangerous me returning to New World because instantly, I'm tempted by some of these mount skins. So now I've got my mount, I should be progressing way faster. Big damage. Oh my god, absolutely deleted. We are strong. I'm curious as to whether they actually nerfed mobs or something in this game, because I found that my character feels way more powerful nowadays than it did back at launch relative to the mobs. I like it when the game utilizes the movement mechanics for questing, like crawling, crouching, climbing. Because not many MMOs actually allow you to go prone. Two favourite zones in the game. Everfull and Windswood region. Everfull just looks gorgeous as the sun is rising. Soon I will unlock the Seasons tab. You need to be level 25 to access that. 23? Yes, easily one of the best looking MMOs even today. I actually can't think of a single other MMO that does sense of scale better than New World. I love how high the trees are. How tall the monoliths are, the size of your character in relation to the environment. I actually forgot that the game was this beautiful, especially just going around the Everfull and Windswood regions. And then knowing that you can interact with all these trees, you can chop them down, there's loads of plants and stuff to gather, animals to kill for their cooking resources. Yeah, to this day, that's still my favourite thing about New World. Being out in the world. I kind of wish that the devs would do something to add more relevance to the early game zones into the late game. Because other than the faction stuff and the open world PvP, once you've leveled your life skills past a certain point, there's not really much reason to return to these early game zones. You're mostly going to want to be in the end game stuff. Look at these monoliths. You can see for so far as well. Absolutely beautiful. 260 gold for that quest. MSQ is really generous with its gold amounts. Second soul trial. See if it's difficult. Dispel these. My damage is too much. Easy. Great sword OP. So now I'm crafting the heart gem. Is he putting this gem literally in my heart? He is. So that's why it's called a heart gem. Badass cutscene.
It is my duty.
Why does he remind me of Prince Charming from Shrek? I think another reason why New World's world feels so good is that almost every building in the game, if not every building in the game, is enterable. Can't really think of many buildings that aren't enterable, but the vast majority certainly are. Spin, spin. Fucking hell. The fucking mob interrupts absolutely fucking wind me up so much. GG. There's actually so many players running around, man. Even these random POIs with the MSQ. Level 36, level 33, level 31. How is it feeling so populated? I'm just at this random POI in the world. Man. Has any MMO ever done spooky zone vibes better than New World? Like the thickness of the fog and the way the lighting pierces the fog in Brightwood. Very cool zone indeed. I remember the first time I ever came to Brightwood, I was amazed by how immersive it was. I have now unlocked the season panel. Is there any reason why you have to get to 25 to unlock this and start earning season XP? I don't see why you can't unlock this at level 1. Holy, this river area here looks gorgeous with the light coming through the trees. I can't get over how beautiful this game looks in places. I always think about Windswood and Everfall as two beautiful zones, but Brightwood is also gorgeous. Holy, have they done some kind of graphics update or something? I don't remember the game looking this good. Maybe it's because I'm playing it on like a higher resolution because I've got a better monitor now, but yeah, surely AGS have done something. I just don't remember the game looking this good. Absolutely not. Or maybe I've just played so many bad MMOs since the release of New World that coming back to New World, it feels like I'm playing something next gen. Maybe my standards have gotten so low from playing all of this other shit that's released in the past few years. I don't know. Something feels different though. I'll probably title this video something along the lines of New World in 2025 feels different. Because it does. It feels different and it looks different. Here's something to consider. Maybe the reason why New World looks so good to me this time around is because in the past 2 years, every MMO that's been releasing pretty much has been Unreal Engine 5. But New World is made in its own engine, Lumberyard. So maybe returning to it this time, I'm just really happy to see something that doesn't look like Unreal Engine 5 art style. I don't know. Could be it. It might not be. I don't know. It's a theory. Holy, this mist is intense. Level 29. Next soul trial. Requirements. It recommends level 35 plus, so that suggests I'm a little bit under-leveled at the moment. But at least it's not hard locking me to those requirements. Place the heart gem. Smash the heart gem. The MSQ is way better nowadays than it used to be. Curse of Kaodun. Oh, that's a proper boss. So I need to kill some ads. Oi. And getting CC'd by NPCs in this game feels so rough. What's this? Seal the curse. He's like zapping me or something. Hammer the gem. Okay. Spin to win. These MSQ boss fights have been kind of cool, actually. Nice. Break the curse. Return to the surface. Curse lifted. So someone's just told me that they actually have improved the graphics for New World since launch. Apparently, with the console release, they updated the engine or something and they massively improved the graphics. You can bloody tell. Level 30, blazing through the levels. This MSQ is actually starting to become really fun. Making this fresh character and playing through the new player experience has really made me want to jump back on my main and continue progress from where I left off. So far, I've had a really good time revisiting New World, and I'm definitely going to play more over the coming weeks. When Season 10 is released in October, my plan is to make another video about the new Nighthaven expansion with an updated pros and cons list, as well as list future content that I'd like to see added to the game, so subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out for that video next month. As always, let me know your thoughts on New World in 2025, and have you been one of the recent players to either return to the game or start it fresh for the first time? Help us out with a like if you enjoyed the vid. I need it more than ever nowadays with the rise of AI content and ad-blocked views no longer counting. Social media on screen, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.